Colorado. Within our state boundaries is land once claimed by Spanish kings and Mexican governors. Although native people initially lived in the region, the first Europeans to visit came from Spain. Early Hispanic families moved north from New Mexico to settle in Colorado. During this program, we discover who the Hispanics are, where they came from, how they lived, and what they have contributed to the wonderful state of Colorado. Many different racial and ethnic groups have contributed to Colorado history. One such group is the Hispano. They have made numerous contributions to our Colorado way of life. The word Colorado is a Spanish term that means red-colored earth. Hundreds of towns, lakes, rivers, and mountains throughout the state have Spanish names. Before Colorado became a state, Casimiro Varela served as a territorial legislator. He helped write the Colorado Constitution in 3 languages: Spanish, English, and German. Varela represented the state as a senator for 37 years. A stained glass image of the senator appears in the rotunda of the Colorado State Capitol. Numerous other Hispanic politicians have served the state as elected officials. When he was only 25 years old, Richard Castro was elected as a Colorado state representative. In 1983, Federico Fabian Peña was elected the first Hispanic mayor of Denver. The Salazar brothers, Ken and John, won election as Colorado legislators. Later, they served in the U.S. Congress.
When I went to Guadalupe in 1968, there was no political power whatsoever in the hands of Hispanics. So I considered that having people register, people voting, that would be an avenue to achieve some of the goals of progress in our community. So in my time, I was happy to see that the representative for the Senate, House, and City were people right there from North Denver.
My political activity started about the same time as my time with the American GI Forum. My thinking at that time was that maybe I, as a Republican, Hispanic, could convince enough people to look at the individual, look at the candidate, and vote based on background. But it didn't work out that way.
From the Revolutionary War to the war in Iraq, Latinos have fought for America. Private Joseph Pantaleon Martinez was the first Hispanic American and first Coloradan to receive the Medal of Honor. The country's highest military decoration was posthumously awarded to him during World War II. Sergeant William Gallegos, a Marine Corps sergeant from Colorado Springs, served as a guard at the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, Iran. He was among the hostages held captive at the embassy for 444 days.
We left Denver here to go into the military, into the training on April the 2nd of 1952. And I went with two other Hispanics that I knew, Alfred Vigil and Jimmy Duran. All 3 of us went at the same time, and we all went to Korea at the same time. The American GI Forum was founded by Dr. Garcia in 1944 because a young man who had served in the military went over to Europe and got killed, and they sent his body back, and the local mortuaries there would not bury him in the regular traditional mortuary cemetery. They didn't want him in there because he was Mexican. And Dr. Garcia went to battle, got him buried in Arlington National Cemetery.
From 1880 to the 1930s, hundreds of Hispanic mutual aid societies flourished in the Southwest. A prominent one was La Sociedad Protección Mutual de Trabajadores Unidos, known as SPM-DTU, or La Sociedad. Its initial role was to protect vulnerable Hispanic laborers. Later, the society helped preserve the culture and language.
And the function that organization served in the Valley was to bring Hispanics together, At that time, there was a lot of discrimination that took place in the area of employment, and they came together to provide insurance to the members and also to provide assistance to family members when they were to lose a breadwinner in the family.
The 1960s witnessed the rise of Chicano rights organizations in Colorado. Leaders such as Corky Gonzalez, Richard Castro, Cesar Chavez emerged, bringing a new contemporary Hispanic history to Colorado.
During that time, minorities, blacks and Hispanos or Chicanos, we used to call ourselves back then, became aware of our civil rights. And when I was growing up, I remember my dad saying, don't be a troublemaker or don't be instigating stuff, but if anybody wants to trample on your rights, make sure you defend them. I remember coming to Denver one time and marching down Champa Street. I remember that because I remember seeing the police officers along the side with their dogs and their shields.
My first contact with the United Farm Workers was sometime in the 1969 or so, when a group was sent from California by Cesar Chavez. At the time, Cesar Chavez was running into problems. So this group of people who came to Denver tried to get into the churches, especially Catholic churches, to help them by staying away from some products. That way, the pressure would build upon the growers so that they could get a more dignified wage in the fields. The wages were like grapes of wrath, terrible conditions, pesticides, and what they wanted just was a nickel an hour more. I admire these people. I admire the campesinos who came. Other supporters joined, and the city started hearing about boycotting grapes, boycotting lettuce, and so on.
There was, of course, Corky Gonzalez, who did an awful lot starting community activity, interest in politics. A little bit on the militant side, but he hit on all the right buttons and made everyone real proud to be Hispanic, and would not let anybody take a second place to anyone.